on to the next one. Florida defies CDC recommendations during measles outbreak. So, yeah, Florida man promotes deadly disease.
Man, color me shocked.
Yeah, so my my dad and stepmom just got back from a vacation in Florida where they've done this semi-regularly where they'll rent a house and like they'll rent it out for like a month or something and be like, okay, well, we've got these weeks are free, so we'll have different segments of the family come and they can stay in the house that we've already rented. They just have to get there, and anything that they want to do while they're there, they got to pay for, but like they can stay in the house for free. And we've gone on many vacations that way.
Very timeshare-y.
Kind of, but like they just rent a house and they're like, hey, come and visit us and we'll have a nice family vacation together. And yeah, we've done that a few times and it's been great. This year we actively did not go because they were in Florida, and we've got kids that are LGBTQ, and Florida ain't very friendly to them right now.
Yeah,
so
makes sense.
like, and like I always spend way too much money when I'm on vacation. So yeah, not saying that my personal spending is going to hurt Florida, but like I'm not the only person that I know who has avoided a trip to Florida specifically because of this issue. So like,
yeah,
when you rely on tourism for the majority of your money, making your state hostile to people that are going to be coming there from outside is not going to work.
No, that makes sense.
Donald says ordering 2 bears would be a 21st Amendment right?
Well, it is our right to arm bears, right?
Oh, 2 bears. Okay, yeah, okay. I got it. I was trying to like make the bears into beers because I ordered 2 beers.
So I mean, that's probably what the origin of that statement is.
I don't know. But yeah, anyway, so Florida's getting even worse. Now, instead of just being bigoted, they're also disease-ridden. So Florida's top health official is defying quarantine recommendations for unvaccinated people during a measles outbreak at a school in western Florida. Dr. Joseph Ladapo. I'm probably saying that wrong. He acknowledges the normal recommendations for a 21-day quarantine in a letter to parents, but said the state was leaving it up to parents and guardians to determine whether their children should continue to attend school. The letter did not tell parents that they should have their children vaccinated. It's like, no, vaccinate your fucking kids, man. Measles was gone. Measles was declared gone in the year 2000.
And then Ron said, look, I am going to bring America back to when it was great. And unfortunately, when it was great, it also had measles. So we have to bring that back.
Yeah, so measles is officially considered eliminated in the U.S., but measles outbreaks have been popping up as more people fail to vaccinate their children. So Florida's kindergartners have a 90.6% vaccination rate against measles. Measles is so contagious that it's not you're not considered to have herd immunity against it until 95% of the population is vaccinated. So 90% is below that threshold. So it's gonna spread. So here's a thing that I like. It's just kind of a throwaway sentence, but I think the implications here are quite scary, actually. So people born before 1957 are considered immune through exposure to the disease before the vaccine was available. So this is a disease that is so goddamn contagious that just the year that you were born in, it's just assumed that you were exposed to it at some point in your life if you were born in that year, because it was so prevalent before the vaccine came around. It's like that's how contagious this is, that like if you were born in that year, yeah, you had the measles at some point, or at the very least were exposed to it. So yeah, measles is extremely contagious and difficult to track exposure because of how the disease spreads. So people are contagious for 4 days before 4 days before and 4 days after a rash appears, and the incubation period ranges from 7 to 21 days from exposure. So
a 21-day incubation period that's nuts for trying to figure out epidemiology on the damn thing.
Yeah.
Like the 2 week, what was it? 2 week, or I think originally it was 2 week incubation period for COVID, and then eventually it became a 10-day incubation period, something like that.
Yeah, that was fucking long.
That made it really hard to track COVID to begin with. So now just add a whole nother week on that. Most people can't even tell you what they did 3 weeks ago, much less tell you all the locations they visited and the hands they crossed.
Yeah. And so 90% of unvaccinated people who are exposed to measles will contract the disease. And then what counts as exposure is like a kid that is just in a classroom where there was an infected kid is considered exposed, even if they never actually had a direct contact with that kid. Just being in the same room once, that counts as exposure, and 90% of the people that are exposed contract the disease if they're not vaccinated. So yeah, then we get into how serious it is. So like 1 in 5 people with measles will be hospitalized, 1 in 10 can have permanent hearing loss, and 1 in 1,000 die from respiratory or neurological complications. And then there are all sorts of other things like the neurological complications. Brain swelling is a huge issue with the measles. So,
oh no, it's just like all the shit that happened with long COVID.
Yeah, even if you don't die from it, it can leave you with other stuff. On top of that, if you get the measles, yeah, you're going to be immune to the measles afterwards, but the measles will wipe out your immunity to other diseases.
Yep.
So, like, yeah, you might be immune to the measles now. Congratulations, but you're going to get COVID again. You're going to get the chickenpox again. You can get the flu again.
And yet people like Dennis Prager try to say, oh, but natural immunity to this kind of stuff is better.
No, fuck no. The measles is the quintessential example of why that is wrong.
Also, it's just a false statement to begin with, because vaccine immunity is natural immunity. It is using your body's natural systems to its advantage.
Yeah. And then this doctor has gone against established public health recommendations before. He went against the CDC recommendation for vaccinations, cast doubt on the efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccination, and called for a stop to mRNA vaccines, citing debunked claims about the shot. I have had the mRNA vaccines. They are fucking amazing. When I got COVID, I was just kind of like, for a few days. That was it. Because I had been vaccinated with these mRNA vaccines.
And I remember when the weirdo at the bar told me that the COVID vaccine caused AIDS.
Speaking of AIDS.
Wait, hold on. There's no way that there's a proper tangent off of that. There is no way. Why have I been abandoned?
Sorry, just a second. It's going to take me a minute.
AIDS takes usually about a minute or two, yeah?
But... AIDS takes some time.
Okay.
Oh, come on. Oh, there's so much. Okay. I forgot about the unfortunately named weight loss supplement. I finally got my 1952 Look magazine.
Okay.
And then I turned the page and I saw the advertisement that says, AIDS helps me lose weight and feel better too. Says, what's her name? Who's this? Yvonne DiCarlo. Oh, there was someone else whose name I actually knew. But like Hedy Lamarr has advertised for AIDS. It's spelled AYDS. But yeah, I completely forgot that was a thing. So when I turned the page and saw that advertisement, I just like I got to experience that almost for the first time again. But yeah, and this issue of Look magazine, apparently this is the issue immediately following one that they had an article that was critical of the Jim Crow laws. And there's a bunch of white people wrote in and was like, black people don't want to mix with us anyway. Yeah, they're like racist as fuck. However, okay.
And that's just considered the norm.
You know what? Bonus news item. Remind me to put this in its own video.
I'll try to.
No, you won't. Don't fucking lie. I've
but
asked you to remind me of stuff before. It never happens.
I don't remember you asking me to remind you of anything.
Exactly. That's my point.
I feel like that's more a reminder to you while you're editing. That's like your editor's note to Rhino.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, everybody who wrote a letter to the editor was fucking racist as fuck, except for Meredy Ann Johnson from Reno, Nevada, who wrote, "Until not one single case of prejudice of any kind at all exists in the United States, including my own strongly growing dislike for any person white with a southern accent, the billions of dollars spent in wars to make the world safe for democracy might be better spent right here at home. A small portion, for example, could be spent educating Southerners along some other line than their moronic sign painting," with the signs referring to the whites-only signs. And then Fennec is saying, "Reminder to put in separate video." Are you saying separate but equal, Fennec? Is that what you're doing here?
The video will be separate, but it will be equal.
And Scott Dillahunt just sent me a $5 super chat to say separate but equal. Not it's put this in its own video. That was just an unfortunate, closely related topic. But
the AIDS diet supplement and the AIDS illness are separate.
This fucking
and not equal.
This fucking magazine though, like reading through, I mean, on the back there's a big old advertisement for cigarettes talking about how your throat doctors recommend smoking Camels because they're milder. But then there's there's an article called "We're Losing the Battle Against Sin." There's another one called "Are U.S. Teenagers Rejecting Freedom?" There's another one called "Suffer Little Children," which I've actually looked into that one. It's this very heart-wrenching article about orphans that were caused by the Korean War.
Oh,
like Korean orphans. So that's actually like a really thought-provoking. Yeah, so that's like a really thought-provoking, intriguing article. With a lot of pictures that I had not seen from the Korean War before. I didn't know the Korean War had that kind of documentation. I was always under the impression the Vietnam War was the first one where cameras were really a big thing. Oh yeah, there's also a piece on an Olympian figure skater named Dick Button. So that's fun.
Isn't it funny how major support for U.S. in any war drastically went down the minute documentation of real-time stuff started to increase?
Yeah.
That's such a weird thing. It's so strange. Yeah. It's almost like how the amount of miracles that happen in the world went down as cameras increased in prevalence.
No, I don't mean the first photograph war. Okay, no, I think it's the Vietnam War was the first one where there was video coming out that was live and unedited or whatever. But that's one of the things that surprised me about this was that it was very clearly showing the Korean War in a definitely not positive light. And I think this was from 1952. I'm pretty sure the Korean War was still active then. Korean War went from 1950 to 1953. So this is towards the end of the Korean War. What? Why am I giving the dog a treat?
Because he deserves it. Look at him.
Well, no, she's gender fluid because the kid who named her can't remember whether it's a he or she. But yeah, no, this just thumbing through this magazine have actually been, it's actually been really fascinating to me. Just to see even the difference in advertisements over the year, the difference in the way the articles were written, some of the similarities in the way the articles were written. And it's kind of fascinating, and I kind of want to do a video about it, but I'm not sure how to do that or what channel to put it on. Donald says 4 out of 5 men who have tried camels prefer women. Vietnam War was the first televised war, and the Korea War is still ongoing. Yeah, kind of, technically.
Everyone in my chat is slowly punning freedom. So it went from free dumb DUMB to free mom. Apparently we're trying to free hostage MILFs now.
Ooh, I could get behind that.
I'm sure you could.
I got me a hostage MILF. No, she's not a hostage. She is here willingly.
Unless that's the scene for the day.
She's not a hostage. Unless there's a safe word. Yeah, but that's the news articles, as well as a little bit of a bonus look into my Look magazine, which it's fun that I now have an official business receipt that, like, it had a description of it, and the description is cute young woman in exercise leotard or something like that. It's like I have an official business receipt explaining why I bought a magazine with pictures of cute young women in it.
My God.
All right, shall we look at some tweets?
Sure. We can look at them. We won't say anything about them, but we'll look at them, put them on screen, and let the audience decide. That's the end of the show, guys. Bye.
Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Nixie-chan, the Oberon team, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.